I was listening to the radio a couple of days ago, and there was a program on there, and to be honest, I don't know if it was the farming program, or whether it was the beginning of a Radio 4 drama called The Death of Grass that's been on. But either way, it was talking about farming and life in the countryside. One of the things it just happened to mention was this idea that that we have this image of the countryside as kind of static and not changing very much. And one of the things it said on there was that's something of a misperception, that the countryside changes enormously. Fields are constantly being resurfaced with new crops. Animals are constantly being kind of recycled, and so on. It's at least so it said in this program, and I'm not suggesting for a minute it was a theoretical program or an analytical program. And it was saying that the city is actually much more static and much more unchanging. Now, I've just been thinking about that again because I'm here in this kind of strange mixture of artifice and nature, which is Dartington, which is this absolutely beautiful estate. I don't know if I can catch on this camera, but it's this fantastically well laid out estate in the southwest of England. And as I say, it's this weird mixture of nature and artificiality. But it's making me think about that relationship between urban environments and rural environments. And one of the things I've been thinking about that is that's interesting about this kind of space, and indeed the place that I usually walk my dogs through when I usually make these videos, which is up in Cheshire, which is not as beautiful as this, but it's equally rural. And one of the things about these spaces is that they are relatively unchanging. I mean, they give the impression of being unchanging. Because when I look around, not much is moving. The pace appears to be very different. Sure, there are things do change a bit, but you don't see that. It's kind of seasonal, or it's that kind of a rhythm to it. But what there is about this kind of space is incredible complexity. Incredible complexity. I mean, I'm looking around these trees and these bushes, all of which have been artificially planted, admittedly. But as I say, the complexity of this environment is astonishing, really. I mean, I'm walking across this lawn up towards this kind of fake temple thing that's been put in the garden. And I'm walking across millions and millions of blades of grass. And all of those blades of grass, quite apart from sharing the same DNA that I am, so here I am, a complex DNA-based being walking across millions of other complex DNA-based beings. But each cell in that blade of grass is incredibly complex, highly evolved, highly integrated piece of machinery, piece of cellular machinery. And the same goes for the trees, and the leaves on the trees, and the complex systems which produce the structure of the branching of the trees, all this kind of weird fractal geometry I'm surrounded by. So whilst the pace may be slow, or may appear to be slow, there doesn't appear to be much changing here. The granularity, the range of detail in this environment is just incredibly high. I just walked up this short bank, and there's a gap between these two rows of trees which lead down to the valley where the River Dart flows, and up the other side. And on the other side there's this a hillside there, again with trees and hedges, fields. And from this distance, of course, they're just a kind of, you call it blur. But I know that over there is even more complexity. So the sheer amount of information that I'm surrounded by here, and which I'm kind of subject to and part of, is incredibly high. And in the city, it's not like that. The city is, you very rarely see plants in the city, and you very rarely see distances like the other side of that valley. And when you do see distances, distances, you tend to see buildings at the end of those distances. And buildings are great and they're very complex, but they're not as complex as this. They don't have anything like the structures that are available to us in these kind of environments. What I think you do get in cities is the appearance of rapid change. Well, you do get rapid motion, perhaps, not rapid change. You do get this constant pace, lights, motion, doors opening and closing, cars accelerating, traffic lights going on and off, neon signs, billboards flapping where the corner tears off in the wind. All that kind of stuff you get in cities. So there's quite a large density of temporal information coming in, quite large, but not a lot of density of this kind of spatial information, material information, and also not a lot of integrated temporal information, I would say, in cities. The information, the spatial and material information in this environment is very consilient. There's a lot of relationships between the various informational structures that I'm surrounded by. You know, linked by ecology, linked by environment, linked by just the kind of physics and chemistry that flows through this stuff. But the temporal information that structures cities and adds the complexity to city life tends to be less structured. I mean, sure, you've got traffic lights organising the flow of cars, and you have street lights going on at a certain moment and going off at a certain moment. But the various components of those rhythms aren't really set to one another. There's no particular reason why the flashing lights of a neon sign are set to flash at that pace. And there's no relationship between that pace and the flashing lights of the cars, and they're all signalling to turn right at the intersection. I don't know what I'm saying all this for, really. I don't really know what I'm saying. I guess I'm just observing that this environment, this bucolic environment, which is kind of stereotypically static and stereotypically simple, the simple life. It's a joy to be simple, it's a joy to be free. It isn't simple at all. It's incredibly complex and provides a lot of information, far more information than can be provided by cities, and far more structured information than can be provided by cities.